Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and we're back today to talk about TLC's critically acclaimed, most amazing fart television show ever, The 1,000-Pound Sisters, starring Amy and Tammy Slaton and their various siblings, and also the new breakout star of Conflict, Brittany, apparently. We're talking about the 1,000-Pound Sisters, airing only on TLC and Discovery Plus and or Max. Well, I watch it via Max. Anyways, none of that's important or special. But what we're really here to do today is to finally catch up on last week's episode. So they didn't air a new episode this week. I'm guessing maybe because in the US there was an election and maybe they just didn't want to put out a new episode because they figured people would be watching the election coverage instead. So I am behind a week because I fully was not feeling well last week. I started feeling better over the weekend. And then this week I got sick again, or like continued to be sick. Like maybe I wasn't actually better this past weekend. Maybe I just continued to be sick and it just really hit me. But either way, all excuses aside, I'm here today to talk about last week's episode of the 1,000-Pound Sisters. And thankfully, because there wasn't an episode this week, I'm not really too far behind. But what I'll also say about this episode that I'm about to cover is that, like, honestly, truly, it was kind of boring. Honestly, truly, I don't know, it was kind of a snooze fest for me. And I'm just keeping it honest and 100% like over here. I don't want to gas this episode up as being exciting because it wasn't. It was boring. In fact, actually, like, stuff happening on the internet with Amy and Tammy, way more interesting. Like, there's a rumor about Amy being pregnant that we'll get to, or that I'll discuss. There's a part in the show where I feel like I can bring it up so it'll come naturally in it. So there's like that. There's like discussion about old Amanda and her boyfriend in Florida or whatever's going on with that. So like that stuff to me is all more interesting than anything that happened in this episode. I feel like they wanted to have this episode be kind of like feel good. It's a Christmas holiday like themed or centered episode. So like, I don't know. It just wasn't doing what I needed it to do. In fact, usually I have like 4 to 5 pages worth of notes, and like I barely kind of got 3 pages today. And a lot of things I didn't even feel like taking notes on, like writing down clips that were funny and stuff. Like even like the mundane segments that they just put in there for filler where they're just doing silly goofy stuff, like it didn't really even feel like there was anything funny about the episode. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood. Maybe I'm just like Scrooge McDuck over here, just not here for a good time. Like maybe I'll feel differently next week, but it was missing funny. It was missing conflict. It was missing the siblings yelling at each other. Like there just wasn't the regular, I don't know, essence of the things that make 1,000-Pound Sisters so fun and entertaining for me. But nevertheless, we are going to cover the episode, and the episode starts off with Amy and Tammy taking Amy's kids to go get a holiday card photo situation taken with Santa and Mrs. Claus. And just as a note, chronologically, like if this episode is all centered around Christmas, that means that the stuff we're seeing right now is like a year old. So I'm really questioning if we're really gonna make it to any kind of content regarding Amy's arrest earlier this summer. Like, I don't know if that will be in this season or not. Like, we might have to wait a whole year before we see them talk about that in any kind of episode or meaningful way. But anyways, Amy has, I guess, a family tradition with the boys to have everybody dress up in the same pajamas. And this year, Tammy is filling in for Dad.
She's my designated sister daddy, auntie daddy. I don't know. Auntie, sister, daddy somehow makes sense for the girls in Kentucky, so I love that for them. And Tammy talks about how she's excited to be here for this because in the past she would have never been able to come along for like holiday traditions like that. And that's what I love about the life that Tammy's living now. Like, she is getting to enjoy and experience things that I think even a lot of like able-bodied people sometimes take for granted. And we're getting to see Tammy really like acknowledge, appreciate,
appreciate and be grateful for these experiences. And because, they're seeing Santa, we get to hear about what Amy's kids want for Christmas, but more importantly, we get to hear what Amy wants for Christmas.
And I wouldn't mind sitting and bringing me something under the tree. Hopefully a tall, handsome man. I want to fall in love again, shoot. Time to get my Wheaties fixed. What?
I don't know what it means that she wants to get her Wheaties fixed. I don't know. She just really sometimes is just saying whatever comes out of her mouth. I don't think she really even thinks about the words that are coming out. You know what though? I also want my Wheaties fixed. Where do I go to get that? Where do I go to make that happen? But also, going back to this rumor about Amy being pregnant, I think Amy has got several different men under the Christmas tree since this episode aired. In my offline coverage or off-season coverage of the SLATONs, we have seen her with a man that was in her live stream on TikTok when she was smoking with Glenn on her lap. There was some other man, too, I think that she featured on her TikToks for a while. And then there was this third man that we know about that she got arrested with when the camel bit her. So, she's been running through these men, and allegedly it's the man that was with her when the camel bit her that she got pregnant by. But I will say, y'all, Tammy has gone to TikTok to clear up those rumors and has claimed that none of that is accurate, real, or true.
Which people will stop spreading rumors, but I'm here to tell you, Amy's not pregnant, and Brittany did not pass away.
So the next scene goes to Amy's house where Amy is decorating for Christmas and Tammy comes over to also help decorate some stockings. It's the most basic arts and crafts, and Amy even has a felt Christmas tree on the wall. She says, we're not doing a real fake Christmas tree, we're doing a felt fake Christmas tree that we hang on the wall. And one of the overarching storylines of this episode is whether or not the house that Chris has available for Tammy to live in is going to be suitable for her living in it by the time she needs to move out. And Tammy discusses she's got some concerns about that. She mentions that things like the water haven't been turned on in that house in a long, long time, so she really doesn't know if everything's even going to work inside of it. And Amy talks about her own concerns about the time that she lived with Chris and Brittany and how difficult it was for her to live with Brittany.
Me and Brittany clashed heads a lot because we're so totally different. You're mixing a holy girl with a gothic. It don't mix. She is an OCD person. She would tell me to go clean something, right? And then she would go up and clean it again. I don't know. She just used to piss me off.
And it's just so funny to me that somehow Brittany has become such a pivotal part of the tension and conflict in this particular season. Not because I don't think it's possible that one, Brittany could be difficult to live with, or two, more likely that Amy and Tammy would be difficult to live with for Brittany. But just that anything we've ever seen from this show has shown Brittany to be quiet, maybe more on the submissive side, not in a sexual way, but just it doesn't seem like Brittany's the kind of girly pop to speak up or get mad or be angry. And maybe that's just because she's surrounded by a bunch of loudmouth people on this show. But Brittany has barely said a fucking word edgewise. So it's just really fascinating to me now that we're supposed to believe that she's gonna be this source of tension and conflict for Amy and Tammy. Now I do really want to emphasize that I imagine living with Amy or Tammy is probably incredibly difficult. And so I could imagine Brittany being frustrated. It's just, I feel maybe I don't know. It's just hard for me to believe that Brittany's gonna be the source of these problems. But I guess time will tell in what we see on the episodes. One of the segments on this episode is Chris taking Tammy to the golf course, allegedly to get exercise, although we don't really see them doing a lot of what I would think of as exercise, although I'm sure in general it's good for Tammy to just be up and mobile and out and about in the world. Tammy says that Chris taking her golfing is really bougie and they really won't fit in. And honestly, amen. Like, I truly don't know that I would feel comfortable at like a golf course or like a golf club situation type of deal. I went to fucking Top Golf just recently, and I even kind of felt out of place there, to be honest, although it was fun and it was silly, but it really felt like suburban straight people culture. But anyways, this opportunity is also really just an event that Chris has planned to try to force Tammy into driving something again, in this case a golf cart. And this really pisses Tammy off because she has said to her family she is not ready to tackle driving again.
I'm not ready to drive and nobody's listening to me. I'm not ready, and I'm tired of people forcing me to do stuff that I don't want to do.
And I really hear where Tammy's coming from. You know, Tammy has reiterated multiple times on this show that she doesn't feel listened to by her family members. And she's also really shown that, like, if she's not ready to do something, she is not, like, no amount of pushing from her family is going to make her want to do it more. So, like, I get where she's coming from. It's like she has repeatedly told Chris and others that she doesn't want to do this, and yet Chris is still here pushing her to do it. And on the flip side, I feel like I fully understand where Chris and others might be coming from, too. Like, it has to be incredibly frustrating to have this relationship with your sister where you're like a caretaker in any kind of way. And I think Chris can see how much independence she's gained, and he just really wants to let go of this caretaker relationship with her so that maybe they can have just a sibling relationship outside of that. But I will say, there was one part where Chris said something along the lines of like, this bitch has to realize.
Tammy can be mad, but what the bitch has got to realize, in order for her to be fully independent, she's got to learn how to drive.
And I don't know, we've talked a lot on this channel about the ways that this family uses the word bitch in a way that's like a term of endearment. But it's just like, I don't know, maybe I'm being too sensitive, but I feel some type of way about Chris using that to just talk about his sisters. Like, I think it's one thing for sisters to say that to each other, and also, like, I think the way that they use it, you can tell a lot of times that it's just, like, a playful, like, banter situation type of deal. But there was something about Chris saying that just, like, did not sit right with me. I don't know. You can let me know if you agree or disagree, but it felt, I don't know, it felt off. But yeah, overall, the golfing segment, I don't know, was a flop for me. Like, you really want me to sit here and laugh at Tammy and Chris not being able to swing the golf club and hit the ball? Like, that's what I would expect. That's what I would expect from them. Like, it's not funny. I did not laugh. Not a single giggle left my body. And surprising to me, I guess maybe not too surprising to me, but kind of surprising to me, Chris somehow did pressure Tammy into eventually driving the golf cart. And for the most part, she seems to really enjoy it. But I will say, TLC did have to just do like the most insane edit of the footage to make it look like Tammy was about to crash into a tree.
Hey, right there. You got to use the brake pedal.
Like, realistically, it did not look like Tammy was actually about to crash into a tree. I feel like the editing was doing a shit ton of work there to make it look like something scary that Tammy was experiencing, when it really probably was not that serious. And as the segment wraps up, Chris does talk about how he thinks that Tammy is just afraid of not having the need for someone to help her, because she's just always been so dependent on people helping her in some kind of way. And to some extent, I do think that might be part of it. Like, Tammy in previous episodes has even talked about how, like, Amanda and Misty don't really seem as invested in her anymore now that she doesn't need help. Like, they don't check in on her as often, they don't come to visit as often. So I could see her maybe being afraid of, like, what happens if I no longer need people to drive me somewhere? Will, like, my family no longer come around to help me or like see me? I think she really struggles in some of these relationships with her siblings because so many of those relationships have been built around them being caretakers for her. And so I think there is probably some adjustment she needs to do in terms of like having normal sibling relationships with them where their relationship is not based around them taking care of her. But on that same note, I really do believe Tammy also genuinely doesn't want to be a burden to her family. She talks about it in other contexts on this episode, specifically like the context of moving in with Chris and Brittany and talking about not wanting to be a burden to them. And I do think that in a lot of ways, like, she does crave to be independent. So I think there is also genuinely, when it comes to driving, just some level of fear of getting behind the wheel of a car. And that would make sense if you spent your whole life, like, she's in her 30s. So, like, if you've never driven a car in all of your life for 30 years, like, yeah, I imagine there's some, like, trepidation there. There's some fears there about getting behind the wheel of a car. Another segment we get is Amy going shopping for shoes with her sons. Most of this segment is her struggling to take care of her kids, which is par for the course when it comes to Miss Amy and her children on this show. But the parts that were most interesting to me was her talking about getting herself a pair of shoes. And she talks about how she needs to get a pair of shoes that she can wear on a date where her toes aren't showing.
I'm thinking about getting back into the dating world, so I guess I need to own a pair of shoes that you don't see my toes. I would go on a date barefooted if they let me.
And this leads to these dirty-ass editors and producers editing the most rotted montage of her bare feet that have ever been on this show before. Despite the rumors online, I absolutely am not, like, I do not have any kind of foot fetish or kink. Not that there's a problem with that, but I just simply do not. But certainly if you do, this was the episode for you. Like, there was a lot of Amy Slaton foot content. Like, her Wiki Feet page has to be going crazy right now. And Amy also explains why she's not so sure about her shoe size because she's lost a lot of weight.
When you lose weight, you're not only losing it in your belly, your legs, your boobs, your ass, you're losing it everywhere. Your fingers and feet included.
And because of that, she wants to try on heels for the first time because she feels skinny enough to do it. So we get to see her struggling in heels for the first time.
When you're fat and blind, your balance is kind of off. So on the ground is more sturdy. And I feel weird.
And she does end up getting a little bit emotional about wearing heels for the first time in probably a very long time, maybe ever. I wasn't really clear if she was saying like she's never worn them before or not, but it does make her emotional that like at a different weight, she's able to wear different types of shoes now, and she feels like she can like dress up and look nice for a date with a man eventually, which like obviously maybe that worked out for her. We get a brief visit to this house that Chris is renovating from Misty and Amy. And honestly, the house still looks like shit, Eureka.
I think it's black mold infested, possibly haunted. Do we need to get a tetanus shot?
Chris claims that working on the house has resulted in him losing a lot of weight, but I guess I don't want to question too much on whether or not he's lost weight or not, because I couldn't tell and they didn't have him weigh in this episode. But it's hard for me to believe that he's lost any weight, at least from what they've shown, because there's literally, like, if he's saying it was the work that he's done on the house that's led to weight loss, like, that house doesn't look any fucking different than it did in the last episode that they aired. So, like, I don't know what work he's done and how that's related to him losing weight, but I'm gonna need more evidence. And this is the first, like, indication we have that Chris does not think that the work on the house will be done in time, and so Tammy will likely have to go live with him and Brittany temporarily. Amy and Amanda go to the gym to work out together using the memberships from episodes ago that Chris got for the whole family. And Amanda has to do some physical therapy for her knee. And they do some working out and some physical therapy, but it pretty quickly is clear that this is just an opportunity for Amy and Amanda to talk about everything going on in their lives. So Amy updates Amanda that Tammy's gonna be moving in with Chris, and Amanda gives it 6 months before they're arguing and at each other's throats. But this is also an opportunity for Amanda to drop the bomb that she will not be present at any kind of family gathering because she needs to go to Florida to get dick down.
Well, I'm just gonna drop a bomb on you. I'm not gonna be here for Christmas. And I have my reasons, damn good reasons. I met someone through social media 10 months ago. We just started messaging back and forth. His name is RJ, and he lives in Florida.
I am fascinated that she met this man on social media. I don't know, if you follow any of my content, I'm always interested, and certainly we need to know more about this situation. I know very little about this man, to be honest with you. But I am always interested when, like, a public figure meets somebody through social media who seemingly only knows about them because they're on TV or whatever they're famous or known for. Kind of like the same ways that I was skeptical of the ways that Tammy and Caleb ended up coming together and things like that. Like, I'm just very curious about that. I'm very curious about what's going on. I'm fascinated that after 10 months of dating, according to her, or like talking, maybe not even dating, I don't know that that's the language she used, but I'm fascinated that after 10 months, Amanda's already like, well, I'm skipping out on Christmas with my family and I'm gonna go see this man in Florida instead. And apparently she's been going to Florida off and on to see him, and this is the first we've heard of him. I don't know, I just have way more questions than I think we have answers so far. And one of the things about this segment that irritates me, and I don't know, that irritates me about this show in general, is that Amy says that Amanda and Tammy's beef is hurting the family unit. But honestly, I'm so tired of them. Like, we have to be missing something else that's going on, because to me, it seems so clear that Amanda's the one that's doing the hurting here. Amanda's the one that is like making the problems with Tammy. I don't know why the family members seem so neutral about it throughout the show, but it's really frustrating to me. I feel like perhaps we are missing some context that hasn't been shown on the show, because just based on what's happened so far this season, like, it seems so clear to me that Amanda's the one that is in the wrong. So the rest of the siblings without Amanda get together for a Christmas gathering, and I'd like to say that Chris, Amy, Misty, and Tammy singing Christmas carols got me in the holiday spirit, but I'm not so sure.
Laughing all the way, making spirits bright. Where
you at? What? I'm singing and yawning.
And the four of them get together to do a gift exchange, and Amanda is not there and isn't participating, allegedly because of the beef with Tammy.
It sucks Amanda's not here in the physical form, but she's here in the mental form. That didn't make no sense, did it? I figured.
I will say, in regards to what I just said about, like, it seems like the family is mostly, like, trying to be neutral and blame both parties, I will say Chris does seem irritated that Amanda is not coming to the Christmas festivities and is not trying to, like, move forward and, like, in some kind of reconciliation, if for nothing else, to, like, just be together for the Christmas holiday. But Tammy is like, listen, we should not force this. And I also want to say, I don't even think that it's really inherently just because of Tammy. Like, it seems like she's prioritizing this man over her family, which I would think is maybe even a larger issue. To, like, be prioritizing this man that she's only known for a short time over, like, spending the holidays with her family. But again, I'm a third party. That's just my thoughts based on watching the episode. The siblings do a gift exchange, and I gotta be honest with you, the only gift I really cared about was the one that Chris initially opened.
Definitely.
Yes, it is. I didn't fart. My butt blew you a kiss.
That's true.
That is so true for me.
You're telling me you got this man a shitting, pissing, and farting Christmas gift? I'm here. I'm all in. I love it. A close maybe runner-up was Amy and Tammy providing commentary about the gift that Amy opened up and its relation to Amanda not being there.
Look, she got a donkey. She ain't got. I ain't got no donkey.
Yeah, she got titties too, and you ain't got none. And more like Amanda, but because Amanda's blessed in them areas.
I know how to work a candy cane.
Apparently, she does too.
That's why she ain't here right now. She working her candy cane.
And this is where Chris informs Tammy that she will not be able to move directly into the yellow house next door, and she will actually have to live with him and Brittany for 2 to 3 weeks before it's ready. And the episode wraps up with it being moving day for Tammy, them getting all the boxes and stuff out of her home that she's currently in that's owned by Amanda, and her being a little bit sentimental about some of the stuff that she had in her house still from her relationship with Caleb, and thinking about how she really envisioned a life with Caleb in that home. And also just her feeling a little bit sad about thinking about coming into that home after getting out of rehab, and how excited everybody was to see her, and how ever since then maybe some of that excitement from family members has died down a lot. And once Tammy actually gets to Chris and Brittany's, it's just real awkward vibes. Like every time they show Brittany on the camera, she looks so over it and like she doesn't want to be there. Like even when she says welcome home to Tammy, she seems so the fuck over it.
Well, welcome to your temporarily new home.
And listen, they got Tammy sleeping in this Paw Patrol fucking kid's bedroom, and she just seems really devastated to be starting over again in her life.
Feels like life is moving backwards. It sucks having to start all over again.
And that's the episode. Like I said, very low drama, very low laughs, and maybe I'm just in a bad fucking mood. Maybe Zachary Michael's the problem. I don't know. But it wasn't hitting like I wanted it to hit. But next week, it looks like Mama SLATON is back for an episode. It looks like Amy's doing some more cooking. It seems like Amanda is going to be at this family gathering, and maybe she'll like start some conflict. Maybe we'll get back to the essence of what this show is about. I hope so, because this week was real boring and kind of made me feel like I was correct for putting off watching it for so long. It just was not bringing the entertainment that I wanted it to bring, if we're being honest. But that's all I have for today. I hope you all enjoyed today's recap of the 1,000 Pound Sisters. If you did, I have a whole playlist of all the 1,000 Pound Sister content that I've ever done on my channel, and it's always linked down below. So make sure to go check that out, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell button so you get a notification every single time I post a new video. Leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I had so much fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!